minus 1 minute.
More juice for the gyro.
Like the juice.
T minus 50 seconds.
At the point where we're at, it is a lot easier for new people to get up to speed really quick.
T minus 40 seconds.
Let's go. That's a W. That's E1. That's E1. That's a W. How many people want to eat a W tonight?
T minus 30 seconds.
Rick Hill taking over our camera. I think there may be a penalty for excessive celebration, but you know what? I'm going to let that one slide.
T minus 20 seconds.
That's what I'm talking about. Now you having some fun.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
Take a deep
4,
breath.
3,
This is it right
2,
here.
1, 0.
What's up, everybody? We're in the house to eat some W's tonight. Look at the biggest winners and losers from the NFL draft. Get the off-season grind started right now. I'm looking at 2022 Optic on eBay. Expecting my man, the Hitman, to be in here pretty soon. As soon as he gets his internet bill paid and gets all that squared away. And then we're going to look at Bestball Mania 4 on Underdog Fantasy. We're going to be drafting a $3 million roster tonight. We're going to look at some of the early values of players because right now there is a direct correlation between their average draft position in fantasy football and that of their football card values. Now, of course, you got to take this, the fantasy league format into consideration, right? Your standard fantasy league is going to prioritize running backs and wide receivers over quarterbacks because you can only start one quarterback on a weekly basis, and true bell cow running backs are a very rare breed, rare commodity, so you got to get those first, right? And if it's a PPR format, now you're getting 1 point per reception. You got to get those wide receivers first. Last year, the winning Bestball Mania roster that won $2 million had a 0 RB strategy. They drafted wide receivers first and then targeted RBs, quarterbacks, and then went back on the wide receivers. So you got to definitely consider the league format. If you wanted the league format that was most closely similar to that of the football card market, knowing that the quarterbacks drive it and super young guys drive it, you have a super young guy, plus he's a quarterback, all of a sudden you've got a perfect storm for some crazy values. And that is like a super flex dynasty format, right? Super flex dynasty fantasy football is going to be the most closely correlated to that of the football card market. So if you look at some really good, sharp, super flex dynasty fantasy football rankings, it's going to have your Patrick Mahomes, your Josh Allen's up at the top of that, your Joe Burrows up at the top of those rankings. You're going to prioritize all your draft capital on those guys. If it's an auction style draft, which I think is really cool for a startup dynasty league, then it's going to be prioritizing all, not all. You don't want to leave it. You got to save some money for some other guys on your rosters in those formats. Just like, I mean, if you know without a shadow of a doubt, you could invest all your money and football cards on one guy, one card, but of course it's more fun to diversify a little bit, right? Diversify a little bit, get a few more cards than just the one in your collection. So, that's what we're doing. That's what we're all about. Got to say what's up to some of our regulars in the house. Derek Richard. Always saying, Derek is saying, well, okay, well, then that would be what, a modified 0 RB, kind of like a hero RB. So you take Eckler in the first round because Austin Eckler did go crazy in the Bestball Mania finals. I actually have saved a tweet from the winning drafter last year. Or he finished near the top. I want to say he won. I'm going to pull it up on Twitter. We're going to look at that because he actually outlined what he specifically did to win the Bestball Mania tournament, which, of course, was millions of dollars in prize money. So we want to parlay that knowledge and understanding and looking at where fantasy gamers are valuing players and take that over to the football card space. Because if you find a guy that's undervalued in fantasy, chances are right now he's going to be undervalued in football cards. So that's really how we're grinding this thing. And then we're going to apply, like, how popular is the team? How well are they favored by the media? How big is their fan base? You know, how young is this guy? All those things factor in to the football card market. The story, that's where the defensive players come in. You know, Carter and I were talking the other day about Joey Porter Jr. on the Pittsburgh Steelers, drafted at the beginning of the second round, and how he is gonna have a lot of demand in the football card market because of his story and the team he's on and who his dad was playing for them. So there's a lot more factors that go into what actually makes a football card purchase a good purchase from an investment standpoint. If you want to flip it, you know, all that stuff. So I'm here to answer your questions. Say hi to Aaron. Derek, he wants a Hot Pocket. I'm sure Steve is probably cooking up some Hot Pockets. That may be what happened. He probably heard the oven going off because he was in here. Him and I were chopping it up before the stream started, and then all of a sudden he disappears. Like he's like he had to run out, man. So it must have been the Hot Pockets going off. Hey, speak of the devil, here he is, man. Did you get those Hot Pockets?
What's that?
Did you get those Hot Pockets?
Oh man, I got some headaches is what I got with my camera. That's about it. But I got finishing up a drink over here from my speedy dinner that I had, and yeah, technology, man, can be your greatest friend or your worst enemy. But maybe tonight we can use it to our advantage and find some nice eBay listings, Andy.
Heck yeah, man. I'm fired up. I've been looking at the new Optic Contenders rookie ticket auto product. I was actually scrolling across this X's and O's not too long ago, and I'm like, not a big fan of die cuts, but I found this X's and O's Aiden Hutchinson, and I thought this card looked really cool. It had a couple. I like that big helmet in the background. It's almost like what are those? Not those fat heads, but like the big helmets.
Yeah, no, I like that card. It reminds me a lot of like the '90s football inserts.
Yeah, it does. It really does. I don't know the scarcity of it. This card's $34.99. It doesn't 2 watched in the last 24 hours. But it is serial numbered out of 99, so I think that's pretty cool. I just thought it was a neat card. And you know, Steve, we talk about this, but I mean, I find that anytime a card is neat, it's collectible. If other people want it, that means it also has an investment value too.
And it's Hutchinson, man. People like Hutchinson. People like the ascending lines, and it's got 2 good things going for it. Plus, the serial number doesn't hurt either. It's hard to tell from that picture, but being optic, I'm thinking that the card has got to be glossy with a pretty good card stock on it.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it does have that optic finish. It's hard to tell from that photo. It doesn't appear to be any like silver prism finish to it, but with it just being optic, it's going to have a thicker card stock. It's going to have a little bit of that, that glossy kind of optic chrome finish, if you will.
What do we got here? We got some optic rated rookies here, huh? Danny Gray, Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, Skylar Thompson. So this is interesting. This is one of the I guess the premier backup plays in the market right now, and not Skylar Thompson, but Mike White. You know, Miami Dolphins picked up Mike White in free agency, and Tua, with his retirement concerns, fragility, et cetera, I know a lot of guys out there that are buying Mike White as a contingency plan for the Miami Dolphins. And they got all that speed, man. All that speed. They snipe Devin Achane in the draft in the 3rd round. Runs a sub 4.4, 4.38 speed. I mean, they just love the guy. So now you add speed on speed on speed. That offense is going to be sick, man. The defense is going to be sick. It's this is going to be a team to watch out for in the AFC East. AFC East is freaking loaded. The Patriots are now looking like the worst team in that division. And, you know, I think a contingency plan on the Miami Dolphins at the quarterback position could be pretty big down the road in 2023. So I'm keeping my eyes open for some Mike White. I guess you could look at Skylar Thompson, but I definitely think it's going to be Mike White as the de facto backup there for now.
You don't think Brady will unretire to fill in any void?
We bring it. Hey, man, I think we gotta keep that into consideration. He's got friends down there in Miami. You know, Miami lost for their draft picks for like tampering, and it's interesting, man. I mean, that would be huge, dude. I think that Brady's rookie cards would definitely spike if that were the case. Instant spike. I don't know if they've really gone down a whole lot. I can pull up Brady over here on the app real quick. Just kind of look at his graded market. Yeah, I mean, they really haven't gone down a whole lot. Like, it's Tom freaking Brady, right? I mean, you're still going to have to pay – you're still going to have to pay like $32,000 for his Bowman Rookie of the Year promotion, PSA 10. You know, population of 17 on the PSA 10, one sale in the past month, $32,000 from Probstein on just 3 days ago. That was pretty good, man. I know it's one of the more rare ones, but $32,000 is nothing to scoff at.
Taking them, I've always liked that metal one. I feel like that's one of his underrated ones, and you just don't see him around that often.
This guy right here?
Yeah.
Average of $4,000. What's the pop on that? Only 188. Dang. So much supply of Brady rookie cards are just going crazy.
Look at that. You can get a 9 for $1,000. I mean, that's not chump change, but
no, I mean, and with his contract with Fox, I mean, he's going to be around for a long time. It's going to be so hard for him to break his numbers. Aaron Rodgers on the Jets, Steve. I mean, they're building around him. They're built around him. They're ready for him. You think it's Super Bowl or bust for Rodgers this year for him to really see a movement in his rookie cards? Or
no, I think just a couple wins to start the year is going to do that.
Few wins, if he gets on that little start the season 2 to 3-0 stretch where they're looking hot, they're looking like the team to beat. Kind of like what we've seen the past couple years. If a team starts off with that 2-0 or that 3-0 stretch, they really jump in value, don't they?
Yeah, and he's already building up some steam. Yeah, he just signed recently, but, you know, he's being seen courtside at the Knicks game, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs with the Rangers. So he's all over the place.
Do we have the 2023 schedule yet?
I don't know that the order of the games have been declared yet, but the matchups are available.
Thursday, May 11th, potential.
Oh, that's a week
Man,
from today.
It's 1 week away to get the actual schedule. I mean, we've got opponents. Yeah, I see that here. You've got opponents. Let's see, May 1st, 3-minute read, NFC East. Yeah, I mean, like, this is great, but we're going to be doing a best ball draft tonight, Steve, and it's important to really understand what weeks 14, 15, 16, and 17 have in store for us, you know?
Yeah, unless you get a bunch of guys from Denver and they suck like last year, right?
Let's see.
Chad said, can Rodgers go higher than he already is? I think so. I mean, you know, he was – if you look at the price disparity between like Rodgers and Brady, I mean, granted, obviously there's a lot more pedigree with the championships, but it only takes, you know, maybe one winning season or one Super Bowl to catapult him. You know, he won a lot and he won a couple MVPs with Green Bay, which is, you know, a much smaller fan base. You could only imagine what could happen if he does something big with New York. The one good thing he's got going for him too is he's well aware that he has to perform well or he'll get booed off the field. Like, so it's not, he knows it's performance based. Your popularity in these big cities is performance based.
100%. Talk about Jets and the media scrutiny, man. It's no joke. I mean, it's all eyeballs going to be on him. He's the biggest blockbuster trade of the year by a long shot, you know? Here we go. Found it. Found it. Found the guy.
Do you think, Andy, that there should be a let's say a tops PSA 10 of Rodgers for 300? Do you think that that's a reasonable gap between a similar Brady card, which is probably, you know, a couple grand? Granted, we're talking about different production years. I get that, but
yeah,
wouldn't you argue that there should be a little bit more of a gap in the pricing?
Yeah, I think it is important. Like, I would have to go with a card like this, you know, practice uniform to practice uniform. I know a lot of Rodgers are in that practice jersey, but if we go to this Brady, pop a 301 on his upper deck victory here from 2000, currently selling for around $2,000 for the 10, around $2,000. Average of 1,600 if you compare between auction and buy it now. And now we look at, what is this, the upper deck? This is the upper deck, 1,700. There's a big population difference. Big population difference, 301 to 1,700.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know if there isn't. Is there an upper deck Brady to compare it to? I don't know. I mean, that I don't know how much that victory set was produced.
Upper deck Premier. Okay, now we're talking. We got 104 to almost 200. So now we're talking much more similar. This would be a pretty similar card to compare to here. The upper deck rookie Premier Platinum. And I just don't know how much more people will value this card over, say, his tops or his tops chrome, because they all get the same daggone picture.
Did you see the Platinum, the 52-week high, though? I mean, you know, if you're looking for what's the high on Rodgers, it's definitely much higher than it is, and I think it's higher than it was even a year ago.
Yeah. Or
within the last year. Good
point. Good point. Even back on March 15th, $449 buy it now. Once again, this goes back to as a seller wanting to sell your cards in a buy it now. Probably when you're going to get your best deals. Obviously, this Mr. Trammell 3. He pretty much did a fire sale on this card. He took over half of what he could have gotten for this card had he just been patient.
The previous two buy it nows were over 400, so he must have been in a hurry to get rid of it.
And you don't know how many other Packers fans or just previous Rodgers fans that have now just totally washed their hands or want to wash their hands of him and move on.
Tyreek said, is Rodgers cards and Packers uniforms worth anything? Yeah, for sure. I mean, look at Brady cards in the Patriots uniform. Look at Peyton Manning cards in a Colts uniform, you know. Most of their iconic cards are going to be in their original team uniforms.
Yeah, and you could even look at Brady's cards in the Bucs uniforms. Like, I mean, I still want to collect those because he did win a Super Bowl for us, so I know that there's going to be probably a lot of angry Packer fans out there, but there's probably a lot of Packer fans that are happy that he's now moved on, you know, to the Jets, and they're now jumping on the Jordan Love bandwagon, which I totally get, man. You look at the NFL draft, the Packers drafting 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, just putting all these additional weapons around Jordan Love. I know that they declined his 5th-year option. They signed him to an additional 1-year contract. But I mean, it's not chump change. Like I think it's a very solid contract. I think they're showing a lot of confidence in him, and this is Jordan Love's time to shine, man. This is his debut. So if he starts the season, what if They've also still got a great run game. They put a lot of improvement into defense. So if he starts the season on a heater, going 2-0, 3-0 out of the gate, man, watch out. I think his card's got a lot of room to go up too. I mean, just comparing Jordan Love to Jalen Hurts. So I was kind of doing this earlier. Just because Jalen is not near at the level of Herbert and Burrow. So to compare him to Herbert and Burrow would be really expecting like that 2020 type of astronomical leap, whereas just looking at the success that Jalen Hurts has had, and his values have just totally flatlined, which I totally think as the unanimous favorites to win the NFC Championship and return to the Super Bowl, he's a very viable investment in himself. But I look at him as a potential, like, I don't look at him as what Jordan Love's full potential is, but I look at him as like kind of like a ceiling, to get a gauge and understand, because they have similar draft capital too, to understand what we could potentially see. And some people are going to say I'm crazy because of the whole team scenario and how Jalen Hurts, I mean, going into this season, Steve, we're going to see this tonight on Underdog Fantasy. Talk about quarterback rankings now that the draft is over, got landing spots. I've listened to some experts putting Jalen Hurts as their QB1 overall. QB1 overall in Superflex fantasy formats or just regular fantasy formats, but Jalen Hurts QB1 overall.
I mean, it's hard to argue with. He's what you want. He's what people would draft Pat Mahomes for. He's running a lot. He's got the deep ball. He's got his accuracy improved. Hey, we got some scissors.
These aren't new, though. Carry on, Steve. I'm messing with late stick. These aren't new. I haven't got my YouTube check yet. I'm still waiting on the check from the Super Chats last time, man. I could go get those shears. Those Fiskers. I'm going to get some Fiskers, though.
And let's not forget, Andy, someone named DeAndre Swift is on that team now. Someone named Rashad Penny is on that team now. I mean, how many teams go to the Super Bowl and end up better than they were the previous season, skill-wise overall? I think they have. And I'm in agreement. I do think that he'll probably be the QB1, maybe QB2. And his card values will definitely go back to where they were around the time of the Super Bowl and maybe stick a little higher this time.
Let's go. Late Stick just put $100 in his Underdog account. I got some money in my Underdog account. I am ready to get into this here in a few minutes, guys. I got the deets in the description. I also got right here on the screen below, promo code Quest if you're new. Guys, you don't have to worry about any roster moves, waiver wire pickups, who you're going to start or sit. You don't have to worry about any of that. All the focus is on the draft. We're going to draft a big-ass team, and then it gets automatically optimized so you get the most amount of points for the guys that you drafted throughout the season, and you have a chance to win $3 million at the end of the season. And if you do, well, you can buy a crap ton of like super rare rookie cards of whoever your favorite player is. If that's Jordan Love, so be it. Late Stick, my man out here, still, he's got the insane Justin Fields collection. He's bringing to the National, Steve. He's big on Sam Howell as a Commanders fan. He's going in heavy on the Commanders this year with new ownership. The whole attitude there in Washington has changed. Steve, before I get off on another tangent, because I'm so excited that the offseason here is like truly here. We're truly here in the offseason, and we're on ground zero. And I haven't talked to you since round 1 of the NFL draft. What were your favorite moments of the draft, and who do you feel came out of that draft as your favorite winner, or who do you think was the biggest winner in your opinion?
I got to say maybe Philly, and agreeing with Carter, I would say Seattle. They both did really well. And Seattle went from, barely able to contend last year, and they fell off at the end. I think they're going to be hard to beat in that division this year. And Philly being a Super Bowl team that was in the Super Bowl last year, I think is even better than they were last year, using not just the trade that they made, but some of the draft picks that they picked up. So that's a very hard feat in this league, and I think that you can basically pencil them in for the NFC Super Bowl contender this year. So those are the two I think really stood out the most. What about you?
Wow, man. Well, I think we were all kind of shocked with the Detroit Lions sniping Jahmyr Gibbs at number 12 overall. Like, I think that blew our hair back because we already saw Bijan go at number 8, and we were so impressed by that. But then for Jahmyr Gibbs, like, we knew the guy was fast and he was good and he went to Alabama and all this. But, I mean, man, for him to be drafted at number 12 overall was just insane for the Lions. They had an unconventional first round. They go the Jack Campbell off-ball linebacker in the middle of the first round. Then they go tight end Sam Laporta in the second round. I was really excited for the Lions draft. Like, overall, I think it was a really fun draft. And they get Hendon Hooker in the beginning of the third round. So I'm excited about that landing spot for Hendon Hooker. And I just like the future of the Lions this year. I thought your Bears, I thought they had a very solid draft. I think some people are I think maybe Justin Fields might be cooling off a little bit here over the coming weeks. I was also really pumped for the Colts. I think the Colts really went in a different direction here. I'm super excited for them because, they brought in Shane Steichen, who is the offensive coordinator from the Philadelphia Eagles. And what do? They draft the most freaking athletic quarterback in the draft, arguably in the league now, and Anthony Richardson. So that's going to be super exciting. And, hey, they may stink this year because he requires a lot of development. But that was a fun draft for the Colts. They got really good defensive player value. They got their guy in Anthony Richardson in the first round. So I thought they did a great job, and I think that hopefully in the long run, they're going to be happy with that.
The interesting thing is the parallel between Hurts and Richardson too is who was the backup on both of those teams? Same guy, your boy Mr. Minshew. So yeah. Who knows how much or how little he had in assisting in that quarterback development. You know what I'm saying? So I think it makes for an interesting situation. I think it's probably unlikely that Richardson starts the year there. They know that they got a guy that's pretty rough around the edges. But, I would say you would probably expect some starts this year. But I'm thinking week 1 may not be it.
May not be it. I think I'm expecting Minshew to start probably the first 4 games before Richardson gets in because he's just got such a high rushing floor that they could do a lot of a run pass option type stuff. And if Jonathan Taylor is fully healthy, I could see them, have a pretty dynamic offense without much of a good passing game as Anthony Richardson develops. So it'll be interesting, but I don't know. It honestly, like right now, is probably the cheapest you'll be able to get Anthony Richardson in a variety of formats before the season starts, because once he actually starts, he's got such a high rushing floor, and if he can execute in the passing arena, there's potential for him with how young he is and his draft capital and everything, for him to really break out in a big way. So potentially this could be a cheap time to get him.
Going back to the Lions and the Bears too, I think the Bears actually did have a good draft, but it's not like the kind most people want to talk about. It's not a ton of huge names. It's not any of the glory positions, offensive skill players and stuff like that. But we drafted where we needed, to fill the holes, specifically our right tackle position. So that's really exciting. I think that makes a huge difference this year. Lions draft, I know that some people are hyped about it because that's what people like. They like people to draft receivers, tight ends, running backs, quarterbacks. I get that. I think that they kind of dropped the ball personally, but they may be thinking they did lose a lot of receivers to the gambling whole ordeal they had going on. They're very creative on offense. I could see them using, they have 2 outstanding receivers at running back, and I could see them using those interchangeably at like a slot receiver role.
Man, super exciting to start talking about opportunity shares and type of offense deployed. I did, Steve, as well. I just re-upped actually yesterday. Click this button right here from Laystick. My stuff's not working. We are re-upping our Dynasty Leagues. We've got 2 Dynasty Leagues right now. I've got a few people that haven't reached out back out. So if you're in one of our Dynasty Leagues from last year, make sure you log into Sleeper and check out the recent post. I've got the rookie draft order set up, so you can now trade picks. There's been a couple trades that already have gone down. We're looking to do our rookie drafts in a few weeks. And those are our leagues that I am hosting through sleeper.com. They're real money leagues, buying of $50 per team per year, 12-team leagues. We may have an orphan team or so. And if you're new to the Patreon or you want to sign up, you want to get in a league and play against myself and Steve and these other guys, go ahead. We're going to be doing probably at least 1 or 2 more new ones. New Dynasty Startup Leagues this summer, and probably we do a couple seasonal long leagues as well that I host for the patrons. And, most of the time it's not anything for high stakes, big money. It's mostly just to have fun. I even did a couple leagues last year, Steve, where we put up some cards. I put up some decent cards and gave them away to whoever won the league. So definitely want to check that out. At patreon.com/football cards. You also get access to the app and the weekly articles and stuff that I release. And I'm now starting to work on our 2023 rankings, Steve, and getting all of our hype index rankings fleshed out for 2023 now that we have landing spots and all that kind of good stuff. So a lot of fun stuff going on.
And who doesn't want to get involved with the rookie card league, like the rookie card league we had? If we're doing that again this year, I mean, that's who doesn't want to win a pile of rookie card, slabbed rookie cards.
People are high on the 7th round draft selection of the Dallas Cowboys, Deuce Vaughn. His dad was a scout for the Dallas Cowboys. I actually got to call him and announce the selection. And he's a little guy. He's like a bowling ball running back, man. But I mean, there's not much draft capital. Let's say this: the guy can run, man. If you look at his college film and you look at his stats, Steve, I mean, he can run. Don't get me wrong, the guy can run, but he's a 6th round pick. I misspoke. But at the same time, and this is not going to be much depth chart competition for Tony Pollard. If they don't bring in another running back and they don't re-sign Ezekiel Elliott to a bare bones, 1-year deal, I mean, this is a massive win for Tony Pollard. And, I mean, he's set up to absolutely smash this year. And they're obviously, if you read between the lines, the Cowboys are not concerned about his health 1 iota. So I think this is set up for a big year for Tony Pollard. It will be interesting to see where his ADP shakes out in these early best ball drafts where people are valuing him right now amongst guys, like the Aaron Jones, the Jonathan Taylors. I'm really interested to see where the running back ADP shakes out for some of these guys like Tony Pollard. But yeah, man, Deuce Vaughn, I mean, dominant at Kansas State, young guy, but he's 5'5", Steve, 179. So he's a little bowling ball of a running back.
I'm gonna be interested to see how it goes. I mean, I've heard a lot of good things so far, and he's not going to carry the ball 20 times a game. He's not going to carry the ball 15 times a game, but 5 to 10. But that's not where his value is at. It's going to be in like the 5 to 7 receiving receptions a game category where you're going to see him shine. So it's enough it's enough volume that he could have significant value for sure.
And this is what the storyline and the Dallas Cowboys will do for you, Steve. You see his Bowman Chrome U first with the little first logo, non-serial numbered sticker auto here. It's going to close for close to $50 tonight at 10 o'clock in just 31 minutes, man. This is wild. This is wild. It's got 21 bids on this card already. And that is what the storyline will do for you right there, brother.
Yeah, I mean,
sixth round.
Everyone loves a great story, Andy. Everyone loves a great story, and that's kind of what we have here. So, how the story will transpire and end, yet to be seen. But how can you not be excited for this guy and what his potential is?
And it's got a big old print line down the right-hand side of that sucker.
Oh yeah, that it does. That it does.
So let's compare the Deuce Vaughn right here real quick before we hop on to Underdog. Let's compare the Deuce Vaughn. I gotta maybe close out some of these windows I got going on, man. My computer's running slow. I got too many windows open is what it is. All right, let me close out some windows. Let me do that. All right. Let's look at a couple things real quick because these are a couple other guys that I know are printed in Bowman Chrome U. All right, here's the Bijan. That is numbered out of 199. It's a little bit more rare than that Deuce. Let's see if we can find a Bijan.
The first Bowman though is going to be last year's though, right?
For Bijan,
I think so.
It may be.
Yeah, I don't see the logo on the 22.
I just got Bijan Robinson auto. Let's see if I could pull up a Bowman Chrome U. I don't see the first, but I'm hoping I'll be able to stumble across one here. You may be right, Steve. I want to say that last year we did see him pop up. Here's one with the first. This one is out of 5.
Damn.
What I could do.
It's a lot of money.
If this has got a back photo on it, Steve, should we play the guessing game? Because this was listed for $1,500. Best offer accepted. Yeah. There you go. Well, this says 2022 tops, but it also says
there it is right there.
Yeah, it says 21-22 Bowman University.
Yeah, so that's last year's. I think it went for $1,000, $999.
Yeah. Hey, Derek saying it's grand. You guys want to take a guess on this one? It's out of 5, man. It's the red chrome out of 5.
Not that I think he couldn't have got more, but I think someone probably offered $1,000 and he wisely accepted.
I'm curious to see where Bijan goes for you. For me, Steve, I think I am definitely going to be drafting Bijan Robinson in the first round. I may even draft him as my top pick. I would definitely get mixed exposure to both Christian McCaffrey and Austin Eckler as my number one running back in the early first round. But I'm definitely going to be mixing in Bijan Robinson as my number one running back selection. I have him right there because they're going to use the hell out of him in Atlanta. There was already an interview with Arthur Smith about how he plans to use him. The guy was a good receiver. He's an all-world running back. I mean, it's on like Donkey Kong. It's wheels up. 8th overall pick. I mean, he's about to get all that he can handle in Atlanta, especially with a second-year rookie quarterback in Desmond Ridder. I mean, it's going to be the Bijan Robinson show. They're going to be filling that stadium with a bunch of Bijan Robinson fans. So I'm not sure how it's going to be tough. You're going to have to pay a premium to get exposure to him at this point. But that was 50% off of what the listing price was, Steve.
Yeah. Derek and Lightstick were off by $40 and $45 respectively. So good.
Wow.
Very good guesses on that. But we were all right in the sense we thought it went quite a bit under the actual sale price. I think obviously that the guy maybe listed it for a lot more than it should have been listed for, but good on him for, hey, maybe he could have got that. We see it happen all the time.
See, I think I saw one. Let me go back because, man, there's just so much volume sold for him. It's probably going to take quite a bit of scrolling and hunting. And here's one, but this is April 30th. When was April 30th?
Oh, it was after
was last Sunday. 63. I mean, that's that's not a whole lot more than what the Deuce Vaughn is currently going for.
Yeah,
but there's a lot more Bijan Robinson stuff printed. I get it.
Yeah, curious to see where the Deuce one ends up tonight. What'd you say? It's got about a half hour left.
Yeah. Probably 10 minutes left with how much I've been gabbing on. So if you guys are enjoying the live stream, make sure you hit that like button.
I got to see if I can find my Underdog password. It's been so long since I logged in. Actually,
all right, the Jahmyr Gibbs Bowman Chrome University first sold for $39.99, $40. Incredible, right? Now, I get it. These guys have more rookie cards printed because they played for bigger teams in college. They're more well-known. They put up bigger numbers, a whole 9 yards. So they were already anticipating to go pretty high in the draft, and they already had more college uniform cards out than Deuce. But still, I mean, that's impressive, man. It's impressive.
Well, we'll know before the stream's over. If anybody was watching it that didn't notice that print line and they heard us talking about it, that may have frozen the bidding, honestly. Unless, you're just buying it to put on the shelf, which maybe it won't.
All right, guys. It's time. Bestball. Let's turn this into dark mode. It's dark mode. Bestball Mania 4 After Dark, their biggest contest ever, $3 million to first place. Once again, we're on UnderdogFantasy.com. We're about to see where fantasy gamers, the diehards, the high-stake fantasy gamers are valuing these players' production this year. This is a single quarterback format, so remember it is going to prioritize running backs and wide receivers. This is also a half-point PPR, so it's a little bit of a priority on just flat-out yards and touchdowns as well. That definitely is going to make things interesting. But there's a potential to win $3 million first place, $1 million to second. That's crazy, the amount of prizes in this tournament. $15 million in prizes, only a $25 entry, and there's already been 29,000 people that have done a draft on this, and you get 100% instant deposit bonus with promo code Quest. Instant, 100% instant, up to $100. So you can get 4 free entries in this tournament for depositing the $100, and then you could, if you're into PGA, NHL, MLB, NBA, they've got all those on here as well. They've got the prop bets on here. All kinds of different drafts. So check it out. With all that aside, you ready to get into this, Steve?
Yeah, let me click on the right thing here. We're doing the 30 seconds per pick, I'm assuming.
We're doing 30 seconds per pick. 30 seconds per pick.
All right, let me know when
I don't know if Derek's going to get into this. He wants to wait on the schedule. There is a lot of correlating with the week 15, 16, 17 schedule because of how consolidated it is, like how big of a player pool you're playing against. So, you're playing in a 12-person league until week 14. Now all of a sudden you jump into a bigger league, and then you jump into a bigger league, and then all of a sudden by the final week you're in a pool of you're playing against a couple hundred people, kind of like a DraftKings tournament. So You want to have you want to hit that game stack. You want to hit that game that goes off in week 17 kind of thing. So without further ado, I saw a few more people just jump in.
I'm ready to roll. Tell me when to click.
All right. Here we go. 3, 5. I'm starting over at 5 because I know there's probably a lag or something with YouTube. 4, 3, 2, 1. Bada bing. Click yes. Let's go.
All right. Waiting on 9, 8.
It's fetching my draft. It didn't fill up right away. Let's check that out. We've got some spots open if you guys want to draft with us in this league.
I think we're in the same one.
Let's dig in, baby. Get the...
I will say this. If you're watching and you haven't done these before, we did quite a few of them last year. It was my first go-around with Bestball drafts. I love it. I'm going to do a lot more on my own this year. And, thanks to Andy and the channel for showing these, and for Derek for being an inspiration for the Bestball drafts of aplenty, since he does quite a few of them. But, this is the way to go. I mean, I'm all about doing tons of, weekly drafts. Those are great. But at the end of the day, who's got time to set 20, 30 lineups? You just don't,
That's right, man.
Oh, man.
Give the cheers out for Underdog Fantasy.
Forecasting an auto pick in your near future.
What's the over-under on my auto pick? Edit layout. Got it. Dynamic camera grid. I think I figured out a way to edit us, Steve, to where we're like over here. Check this out, man. Can you guys actually see that I moved us around? Whoa.
Nope. Still on the same spot.
Nope. So, okay. Check this out. How do I move this? Save. Save new layout. Oh, I'd actually have to click it. Whoa.
Oh, there you go.
I just moved us to the other side.
Oh.
All right. The draft is starting. Let's see if we can mess with some people's heads here. We moved our screen around to the other side.
Aaron is asking, how does it work? Basically,
how does it work? Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
You draft with some depth, and the computer will plug and play the top scorers at each position for you every week. I think that's a good summarization, Andy.
Yeah, man. It's a standard snake draft. You're just drafting a big team. As you can see here, you're gonna fill a big team. I think how many rounds? It's like 20 rounds. So you have like a 20-man roster. So you just automatically get the highest amount of points possible for each position. So you can only start one quarterback, right? But even if you've got 3 quarterbacks on your roster, they're going to give you the points that for the quarterback that scored the most that week. So they're going to optimize it every week to where your starting roster are the guys on your team that scored the most points. And that's how they go through the season like that. And so it's an accumulative point system. So by week 14, if you've got the most points in your league, or if you're like in the top 2 or something like that, then you consolidate down, and then they have a playoff bracket where you consolidate down, then you consolidate down again, and then again. Bijan Robinson 1.1. There you go, Steve. I told you, man. And that's what I'm talking about. This guy, he could. I mean, he's definitely the favorite to be the offensive rookie of the year, but I think he could also easily be the #1 fantasy point scorer in the year. But I wouldn't go like 100% all my eggs in the basket for Bijan. I'll be getting a lot of exposure to him, but I'll definitely be getting Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler as well.
Andy, 3 years in a row. Why not? Let's go.
Oh, you did it. CMC at the 4.
3 years in a row, I got him with the first pick, so why not?
So you're at the 4. This guy Marcus is at the 5 here. Yo-Yo-Bo is at the 6. Then we got Late Stick. There's Late Stick at the 7. Then Teddy on Fetty is at the 8. Radio Cambodia at the 9. I'm at the 10. Keywol at the 11th. And then RQU at the 12. So see, right now we've got the picks going across the top. What I'll do is I'll pop open the draft board so you can kind of see it in the draft board format here.
Derek, how many entries do you need to get that little red and white shield? That's what I'm going for this year.
Hold on, I'm gonna post up Derek's comment. We're gonna make sure to we're gonna make sure that we post this, because you could either be right here, but if you're wrong, man, we're gonna be definitely pulling receipts on this one, brother. You're telling me you're not going to have any 1.1s with Bijan as your pick? I'm on the clock, Steve.
I wouldn't. I mean, the rest of that offense is pretty anemic. But
look at that run on wide receivers, man. No, I don't want to enter autopilot mode. Where's Austin Eckler?
Stop it, bro.
Give me Eckler.
It's too early.
I almost got auto pick Jonathan Taylor. For me, Jonathan Taylor has slid down to we'll see. But for me, Jonathan Taylor is now going to be like my RB9. I'm sorry. I think he will overpaid for Jonathan Taylor right there. And maybe his values are still inflated in the football card market. But you got to think about this, man. If Anthony Richardson starts by week 4, not only we got Jonathan Taylor coming off an ankle surgery, but he also had a rushing quarterback entering the team scenario, plus a new offensive coordinator. Look at how the running backs were used in Philadelphia, Steve. I mean, it was a running back by committee, and Jalen Hurts got the most rushing touchdowns. So I don't know, man. Andy Rich is going to steal a lot of those carries. He goes Jonathan Taylor, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Andy, you're up. I don't want you to auto pick. I didn't want to interrupt you there, but
I'm going to go a little reach here. I'm going Chris Olave with a 2.1. I am passing him, guys. Could go Saquon, go RB heavy here. He's up there for me.
You guys know that I'm a little heartbroken about Amon-Ra getting picked already, but hey, that just goes to show you where his stock is. 2.2, man. 2.2.
Yeah. Oh, is Scatterbrain or you Keywol? Dude, you got Derek.
Fourth rounders.
Jeez, man, look at this run on elite quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts, boom. What did I tell you, Steve? QB1. Look at what the community says about Jalen Hurts. QB1. Here, this is what I'm gonna do.
Holy
I'm
cow!
pull up this draft board.
Holy cow!
I'm gonna pick up this draft board like this. This is nice. Now, when I'm at the 10 spot, I got a little while. Or wait, I'm at the 11 or 10. Am I cutting somebody off? Yeah, I'm cutting somebody off.
So, you know what? ADP is a bit skewed in my opinion, so I'm going to correct it.
Scatterman, you got to get in on this, man. This is not your seasonal league. No waiver wire, no pickups, no drops, no start-sit decisions, man. You can do as many of these as you want with absolutely no oversight during the season other than checking in on the score. I mean, it's just like You're going to
The
be
irony
so
for
good
those
at
that-
drafting. You're sorry, Steve. I just want to say you're going to be so good at drafting your seasonal long fantasy league in August. If you do a bunch of these throughout the summer, you're just going to crush your friends. You're going to crush your friends. Oh yeah, man, there's money on the line. Got a brain. You got $25 entry into this one with the potential to win $3 million at the end of the season, brother. With prizes that trickle all the way down, there's over $15 million in prizes in this tournament right here.
Gotta love it.
Go ahead, Steve. Sorry about the.
Oh, that's
Had
what
to-
I'm gonna grab next. Hold on one second. Shit.
Yeah, underdogfantasy.com scatterbrain. Make sure you use that promo code QUEST, like you can see right here at the bottom of the screen. That will get you an instant 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That'll give you free money to put in to put in additional best ball teams if you so wish to.
You know, here's
Can't
the
beat
thing.
it. And it helps the channel.
You know, if you're contemplating doing these, but you think, oh, you know, it's too early in the year, yada yada yada. This can work to your advantage because having a little, you know, plus intuition on where to take a guy versus where his set ADP is at now, it's only going to work to your advantage because a lot of these guys that win these leagues, you know, draft in the spring. You know, the closer we get to the season kickoff, the tighter these ADPs are going to get, and you're not going to be getting as many, you know, sleeper picks as you could, you know, if you did them now.
That's very true. ADPs are pretty wild right now because there's so much information that we're digesting right now from the draft, and we're trying to figure out what the game plan is for some of these teams. New offensive coordinators, new coaching staffs, new players. So the ADPs are going to change pretty significantly come August, Steve. Just like you said, you're absolutely right, man. They're going to be a lot tighter then, but you'll be so dialed in. You know, if you start doing these now, even if you just do one a week. The other thing is they have slow drafts on here.
Do at least one. It is kind of interesting. You might go a whole day till your next pick.
Yeah, but it's like, hey, you know, I get a pick once a day or something like that. So, I mean, if you're a busy person and you don't mind taking the time to draft a team, snap them on the clock. I like getting a running back. This is crazy how cheap. I'm going to go Deebo Samuel. I think this is crazy how cheap Derrick Henry is now.
I will say this, and I wouldn't have said this last year, but he does look better off-season shape already than he did last year, but there's one downside to that. He's got almost no offensive line left compared to, you know, the start of last year. So it's hard to say what he can do without that line help, but time will tell.
I could also see him potentially being traded, though, and maybe it's even halfway through the season. Look at what happened to Christian McCaffrey last year. The Titans are in a very similar kind of rebuild mode that they could potentially trade Derrick Henry right before the trade deadline, halfway through the season. He goes to a team, who knows? Maybe it's the Eagles, you know, who knows? Some landing spots like that. And that, you know, Rashad Penny, DeAndre Swift, super fragile. So, all right. Calvin Ridley? Ooh, your boy DJ Moore. I hate to let him slide to you. Hopkins, Mike Williams, Christian Watson. I guess I'll just go with the ADP here. I don't know. I got to develop a better strategy. I do know I want at least probably about 5 wide receivers. And I know that Ridley could absolutely emerge as the primary touchdown scorer in Jacksonville with some insane boom weeks with Trevor Lawrence. Kind of how he stepped in there in Atlanta as a complementary piece to Julio. I also think that's a similar way to how Jordan Addison has stepped into the Vikings as a clear wide receiver 2. It kind of is similar to the way Calvin Ridley stepped into Atlanta with a bona fide alpha and Julio Jones. Jordan Addison steps in as a stud in college, but with a bona fide alpha elite wide receiver in the NFL and Justin Jefferson. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if Jordan Addison has one of the best rookie wide receiver seasons out of all these guys, potentially outscoring JSN, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Quentin Johnson, who went to the Chargers, Zay Flowers, that went to the Baltimore Ravens. I think he could potentially outscore all those guys.
Oh,
Derek's saying I need 8. That's a good point. This is I'm thinking super flex format, I guess, because this is a format where you can start 3 each week. So 8 makes sense. Are we starting 3? Yeah, I guess we are, right? Yeah, we're starting 3. Okay, so it's 1 QB, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end. No defense, no kicker, none of that. Okay.
man,
What's Steve got going here? Hopkins?
I thought I was going to get DJ Moore to go with my boy Field, but you and the guy right after you were all over it.
100%, Aaron. So what we will also be doing, which I can start doing now, guys, is I can do private drafts. If you want, we could do it for super low stakes. We could do them just for fun. We could do them for like $5-10, and we could draft against each other. So we can get, late stick, Steve, Derek, Aaron, Scatterbrain, Bob. We get other guys out there in the Discord. We'll get them in. We play a 12-person hobby Bestball league, either on here or on Sleeper. We did a Bestball league last year on Sleeper. Their format works well for us as well, and we don't all have to be like, I have a lot more control over how the draft is run and stuff. This is pretty fast paced. I like these, but we can do private, and I do private fantasy league, both seasonal, dynasty, and best ball through Sleeper for patrons only. So Derek thinks it's optimal for a wide receiver in flex. It's potential, right? Yeah, I will be anytime we do a draft for patrons, a patron league, I will be live streaming that through Discord. And so that's a lot of fun because, anybody who wants to get on there, we had all kinds of guys. I remember James and Brad and Bob and Derek, and we all had our cameras on and stuff. And it's just, us in the Discord chopping it up and drafting some fantasy football teams. So that was fun. So we definitely will be doing more of those this summer as well.
I'm digging it. What's funny, Andy, is guy I work with, I get lucky enough to work with a bunch of dudes that love football, and one guy's in the hobby. Surprisingly, you don't run into a lot of people in your workplace that are, and another gentleman runs a bunch of leagues, and he's like, hey, spot opened up if you're interested, we'd like to have you in. I'm like, yeah, for sure. And the best part about it, it's in person. Now I know maybe for some of you that's like an every season thing, but my redraft in my keeper league was in person for like the first several years, and at some point the guy just didn't want to host it anymore. So if you guys have done an in-person league before, lots of fun, lots of smack talking. Of course, the next best thing is kind of in person, if we're all on the webcam just BSing with each other and harassing each other over their recent picks. That's always a good time too.
Yeah. And I had my first auto pick, Steve.
It
was pretty close.
Yeah. That's at least a good pick, though, Andy.
I don't know, man.
Honestly,
I was
thinking of him
now.
over Kirk when I take that pick. So
You know, for a guy from the 2013 class, I'd much rather have DeAndre Hopkins. Oh, but they let my guy slip right where I want him in the 6th round. This is such an incredible freaking value for one J.K. Dobbins, another massive winner from the NFL draft. They added absolutely no running back competition to their depth chart. They built, obviously they drafted Zay Flowers at the end of the first. They also drafted a couple offensive linemen. They drafted defensive guys. They've signed Lamar Jackson to a historic contract, but they also brought in Ted Monken, the former offensive coordinator from the Georgia Bulldogs, and before that, he was the offensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns in 2019, Steve, where Nick Chubb rushed for a league leading like close to 2,000 yards or something crazy. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head. Not only that, the Georgia Bulldogs, when he was there, they averaged almost 200 rushing yards per game. Now, granted, they did pass the ball too, but man, this is just a setup. He's going to be fully 100% healthy. You know, he's got sublime athleticism from Ohio State. This is incredible value for J.K. Dobbins in the 6th round. Get you some right there. I make up for the auto pick with Dobbins in the 6th.
I will say this, you got Dobbins and then someone got Pierce this round too. I mean, that's like stealing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, Andy, but I have pick 69. I just wanted to throw that out.
Pick 69 on the clock.
Let's go. Another returning player from my last year's team.
Wait. So, okay. I was curious to see who's being valued higher. JSN. JSN being valued higher than Tyler Lockett, which is interesting. I think you have a little bit of an ambiguous wide receiver room there with JSN, as good as he is. Coming in as a rookie, Tyler Lockett, as good as he is with all the veteran experience, but, obviously entering his early 30s, and then DK Metcalf, the phenom, and Geno Smith now entering the 2nd year of him playing at elite status. It's very interesting because they also drafted they threw a total monkey wrench into their running back depth chart in drafting Zach Charbonnet with like pretty significant draft capital, 2nd round draft capital on Zach Charbonnet to go behind Kenneth Walker's, which, I mean, like, Zach Charbonnet, pretty good, man. Like, that's like some pretty significant backfield competition for Kenneth Walker. I get it. And maybe to be a little bit more of a pass catching complimentary role. But I think this definitely hurt Kenneth Walker's ADP. I definitely think it's going to hurt his rookie card value, his perception of being a bell cow. Like, people hyping him up with anticipation of him being a bell cow. It's slipping. It's slipping, man. It's slipping. So there's ambiguity there as well.
I think the receiving room is just fine for Seattle. I mean, if you have 3 good receivers, you're fine. I mean, think about how many points per game teams in the NFL give up these days. So I think you're going to be in a shootout. You're going to have enough pass attempts for 3 guys to all feast, especially if they're all good.
Scatterbrain is in. Awesome. You are the man, Scatterbrain. Enjoy yourself. Wait, right on the home screen, if you're on the phone app, it's super easy to use. You can go right there. They should have the BBM4. It shows right there on the home screen. It's like shows their premier tournaments, the big tournaments they got going on. You can get into one of those right there. You can tab over to Pick'ems, or you can like sort by individual sports if you want to do that way. The Pick'ems are basically looking at prop bets. Hey, is this guy going to get over under yards? Yeah, There's so many different stats, right? They had a prop bet on there for the hot dog eating contest, Steve. It's crazy, man. They've got prop bets on there for esports, like Call of Duty and shit, man. I didn't even know they did that, but apparently it's a very serious thing.
There's millions of dollars on the line in these things. It's crazy what it's turned into.
And you could bet on it. It's like, hey, how many kills does this guy get? Like they have like prop bets for the kills and the snipes and stuff, and like Call of Duty on there. It's pretty wild, man.
And don't forget too, a lot of states still don't have what you could refer to as sports betting. But in this aspect, we're just doing a Bestball draft, but Underdog does have player props that you can do, which in a way is gambling, but it's classified as fantasy sports. Therefore, they are able to do it in most states. So if you're in Florida like Andy, or in other states where they don't have sports gambling, this is a good alternative. Nice pick, Andy. I would definitely go in that route next if he was still around.
Yeah, man, I just can't resist. Like, I know they dropped Jahmyr Gibbs at 12, but they get rid of DeAndre Swift. I don't think they brought David Montgomery in. I think he's going to be their hammer guy. I still think so. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be all over the place. And you got Jamison Williams missing the first 6 weeks. So Jahmyr Gibbs could be used more in a receiving role for the first 6 weeks. And David Montgomery's got the experience. He's got that be the hammer type of running back efficiency already proven in the NFL. They're probably going to give it to him more often in those goal line situations, that they find themselves in. So I want that, especially at 7th round value behind that elite offensive line. I did want Jordan Addison right there. I'm a little upset about that. What do you think about Brandon Cooks on Dallas? I kind of almost want to take this quarterback here. Actually, I am going to go ahead.
Nice.
Anthony Richardson is still out there, dude. I don't know. I think I panic clicked on Daniel Jones. I saw him. I also know he has an incredible rushing upside, So anytime you have that dual threat, I think this is undervalued, man, for Daniel Jones, honestly.
No, I agree. I think that you're taking Anthony Richardson. I think you're taking too much of a gamble. I mean, quarterbacks of that archetype are not typically good as a rookie. Look at Justin.
I wouldn't take him as my number 1, but you see this guy took him as his number 2 behind Josh Allen. I think that's fine, especially if Anthony Richardson is going by middle of the season. Because you only start 1 per week. So what if Anthony Richardson catches 5 of the seconds? But I'm with you, Steve. I wouldn't take him unless you're in a dynasty rookie draft. Like I am planning to take him if he's there for my dynasty rookie draft and I need a quarterback.
Ooh, who do I want to take?
Obviously, Bryce and CJ Stroud are going to have more production right out of the gate, especially from a passing standpoint.
I'll probably kick myself later for this, Andy, but let's go, man.
Odell Beckham on Baltimore. Wow, man.
If this was a weekly league, I would definitely not have made that pick, but
yeah,
he only has to perform when the other guys above him don't. So
I can't believe he's going in the 8th round. It's just, oh man, I don't know if I could do that, dude. Yeah. No, I like what you said. You may be kicking yourself. I can't believe his value though. His ADP right there is still really solid. That tells me people are still obviously respecting Odell Beckham as a potential, solid wide receiver 2, 3. Look at Gabe Davis, though. I mean, he's slightly after Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis going there in the 7th. So Gabe Davis has obviously still got some fans, still got that hype. Treylon actually went a little bit earlier in the 6th, surprisingly. I love the value here on Brandon Ayuk from Late Stick. I mean, just great value on Brandon Ayuk there in the 6th. Love that pick.
Derek said a point about Cam Newton, but I think at that point in time there was just a lack of quarterbacks that could run in the league. I think that the the league has evolved a bit to game plan for this a bit differently. Shit,
Eldwer gets Kirk Cousins, who's the quintessential. He's the token late round pocket passer guy. I mean, Kirk Cousins is the token late round pocket passer. But Daniel Jones last year, Steve, finished as the QB 10. He finished with almost 20 fantasy points per game. 10th best QB in the league. And where's he going? He's going as like way lower than 10, it looks like. I mean, I'm getting him 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Get him as QB 12. Yes, please. They add Jalen Hyatt. They add Paris Campbell. They add more weapons. Saquon Barkley's back. You got second year under Brian Dable. Why is Daniel Jones going to get worse? You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree. The quarterback whisperer is only going to make his quarterback better, and you just saw what he did with just one season with him. So they've actually added a little bit of talent around him. I think you got to expect him to get better.
Yeah, I think that was good value. There goes Zach Charbonnet. Where did Kenneth Walker go? That was your pick.
Yeah, I've been taking a lot of safe guys. I went with, I got him behind 2 of my top picks at running back, so there's not a lot of expectation if he doesn't go crazy. He doesn't necessarily need to unless I have a major injury, but if he does, he's my 3rd running back.
Elijah Moore now on the Cleveland Browns. I think that's an interesting addition. Zay Flowers. There goes the first-round rookie to Baltimore. All right. Michael Thomas, no thank you. Alvin Kamara, no thank you. Man. Oh, man.
No and no.
You know what? I'm going to
take Rodgers. Oh, he took Geno.
Yeah, I took Geno. I'll take Geno over Rodgers. Geno has got more rushing upside as well than Rodgers. It's virtually not rushing at all anymore. But he does have he has a pretty high touchdown upside. But even Rodgers never has put up the gaudy fantasy numbers, even in his MVP seasons that Brady did. He's not going to play fast enough. Like Rodgers is like the token, take your time up to the line of scrimmage, do all this and that. He's still going to throw a touchdown, but he's going to take like a minute and a half off the clock to do it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who I'm going to pair him with. At this point, it was more of just like picking based on need. Like I'm not doing good in terms of stacking. So I'm not doing good, guys. I may try and get like a Paris Campbell or a but Alexander Madison's there, dude, on Minnesota, with them potentially trading Dalvin Cook or him just having a higher fragility. Alan Lazard's there, Mooney, Sky Moore. Man, there's some really good value out here right now. Should I add? Does it go like a little speculative ad there? They went with a very, very speculative ad. I drafted the rookie, stack him with Daniel Jones. I don't know. I may have overpaid. Definitely need more wide receivers of 3, 4. Paris Campbell is already off the board. Or would have taken him.
Ooh. Rookie running back.
Where? By the way, is he not off the board? Is ADP assuming that Jalen Hyatt becomes the wide receiver 1 in New York? And
you just grabbed him up. That could be an interesting. Those are the kind of picks that really pay off, man. He may go much higher in a month or 2.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the size. He's got the speed. 3rd round. early 3rd round pick, but this is interesting. I mean, whatever. I think you do have to stack. There's got to be some stacking element there. Obviously, if your quarterback's going off, especially if he's a passing quarterback, that means your wide receiver is going to go off on that team. You're going to bring those guys along. So if you want to get all the fantasy points for a team, you got to stack those guys together, right, Steve? That's fantasy 101.
Yeah, especially if you're drafting a pocket passer.
You're right. I'm not having a good stack here. The Geno Smith pick was, I'll take those fantasy points if he can outscore Daniel Jones. I don't have a stack to go with him. I'm all over the place. And in a lot of ways, I probably should have gone tight end there. I could have gone tight end there and then gotten like Jared Goff later to go with, or I could have gotten Derek Carr, a little bit later. Probably right. And it's probably a suboptimal play there. But I just knew that Geno Smith also has a rushing floor, and he's got a pretty high ceiling at this point. Added weapons heading into the second year of his, whatever you want to call it, renaissance. And he was the QB 8. I mean, he was 2 spots higher than Daniel Jones on a fantasy points per game basis. And yet here he is going as like the QB 16 or something, So it's like there's still a lot of doubters out there. And I'm gonna capitalize and take advantage of that because it's probably going to change. He's probably going to move up this board a little bit come August, Steve. Jordan Love in the 11th.
All right.
Probably undervalued too, man. I don't know.
This is one of those picks that could win the draft, but it's a gamble, but I'm gambling.
I think Jordan Love in the 11th. Jordan Love's got some rushing upside too. I'm always trying to look for that dual threat capability, and I get it. A lot of touchdown upside in some of these better passers. But to take them that much higher than Love, like to take Russell Wilson, to take Dak Prescott, who doesn't run much at all anymore, Tua, that much higher than Love, just doesn't seem right, man.
Nice late stick. I like that pick, man.
But late stick's crushing it, man. He's crushing it. I'm loving his picks. I'm loving that Sky Moore pick now entering his second year.
I even like the Damian Harris pick. I had him lined up.
Chig. Let's see. What do we got for tight ends? Decent tight ends. I'm gonna star this cat up right here. This Las Vegas pick. Let's go on some Michael Mayer, man. Mooney. Myers now in Vegas. Jamal Williams in New Orleans. Roshan. Who did I got auto picked? It was so quick, man. It was so quick. Oh, I got Michael Mayer. Well, there you go. That's why you star guys up. Scatterbrain, if you're out there and you're doing one, star some guys up. Because 30 seconds goes quick, and at least if you got a guy starred up, you'll get that guy. Otherwise, I would have been getting Jared Goff again. I don't need a third quarterback. Do not need a third quarterback in this format whatsoever.
You could have ended up, I agree with what Derek said. You could have ended up grabbing someone else and got Carr later because you have Olave, right?
I do have Olave. Yeah, I could have gone Jamal Williams too and snagged Carr. Like I got Carr out there or Williams out there right now. I love me some DPJ, man. Mingo, who's gonna be the guy there? I'm all over the place with my stacks. I'm gonna go ahead. DPJ's got big game upside, man. If you looked at the splits last year between their home and away, and between Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones, I mean, he's got 99 percentile burst, big catch radius. He made some sick catches. I think he's clutch, man. I'm a big fan of DPJ, both in fantasy and football. I think he's undervalued. I think there's really nowhere to go but up this year for Kevin Stefanski, who's an underrated head coach probably at this point, and Deshaun Watson. I actually just traded. I want to share this trade with you, Derek. I just traded for Deshaun Watson in Dynasty. I think I made out like a bandit, dude. Let me share this trade with you, bro. While this draft is going. I traded Dak Prescott. Go to sleeper. I have all the deets of my trade. Let's see. Direct. Goats. There we go. All right. So I traded Dak Prescott. You're actually gonna freaking love this, dude. Derek's gonna love this. Wait. And he accepted it. And I was shocked. Let me save this. My downloads.
Yeah, Goff got scooped up. It's almost like Marcus knew I would maybe take him.
So I'm FF Card Quest. There's my league mate B-Goat right there. So I traded him, Dak Prescott, Rashad Bateman, and my 3rd round draft pick this year, which is the 308. So I'm the 3. I got the 3rd round 8 pick in this draft. He's got the 3rd round 5th pick. So I moved up 3 spots in the 3rd round, gave him Prescott and Bateman, and I was able to get Deshaun Watson. What do you think about that one, Derek? And anybody else out there that's there's no Derek.
Are you high on Watson bouncing back, or?
I just think he's got nowhere to go but up, and he's got rushing upside. He's got high touchdown upside. He's been an elite quarterback before. It's just a matter of getting his game back, basically. And I mean, I think that he will, much like Tiger Woods. He may not ever be a number 1 quarterback again, but I do think he can get back to playing at a high level, including putting up some pretty gaudy numbers on occasion. So he may even be a better in best ball type of guy, but definitely want him as a dynasty asset with everything going on in Cleveland.
You did put him in that S tier last time we did our QB rankings, so I'm thinking you're thinking pretty highly of him. I mean,
you got to, man.
He's got the capability. There's no doubt about it. But let's be honest, we have to see something, man. We have to see something. We can't be scoring guys on what they did 3-4 years ago. I mean, ADP just wouldn't work that way. There's definitely some interesting peeps out there still.
He says he's got Watson and Dak equal.
Somebody who grabbed my guy. Let's see. We gotta go back here.
In this format, and especially in the football card market, you'd actually I'd be interested actually to compare Deshaun Watson and Dak Prescott. Dak's values have come down all the way to where Jared Goff is. And because there's that team scenario. involved there. And kind of the fear of missing out. Back on the clock here. All right, let's make some picks. Let's get some picks in. Dawson Knox. We're gonna end up getting Adam Thielen. I think I have which I'm not. I mean, I've already got a loaded wide receivers: Chris Olave, Debo, Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen, Jalen Hyatt, DPJ, Adam Thielen. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Got 3 running backs, 2 quarterbacks, 1 tight end. We got to get probably some more, another tight end. You know who is a really interesting value at tight end this offseason, which I'm not sure how well people have reacted to because the guy's been marred by a variety of injuries, but he does have first round draft capital, and he did go to Alabama, University of Alabama, and he was or actually early second round draft capital, and he was a really good tight end in college. Irv Smith is now on the Cincinnati Bengals.
Talk about a much better landing spot for him.
I don't really know what to man, my thing's moving too slow too, man. I think I just drafted Derek Carr or something. What happened? Oh, no, I drafted Sam Laporta well ahead of ADP again. That's auto picking. That's auto pick. I don't even have Jared Goff. No. Do I have Jared Goff? No. No, I don't. No. Not ideal. Not optimal.
Things happen, man.
Yeah, gotta make my donation to Bestball Mania 4, and not everybody can win, man. It's okay. I am excited about Sam Laporta's future in Detroit too, though. But I'm like in late sticks roster. Interested to see what happens to Zay Jones. Could be in somewhat of a target squeeze here with Calvin Ridley coming in. You got to think Evan Ingram's going to get his head out of his ass and sign his franchise tag tender, whereas he's going to end up sitting on the sidelines this year. They drafted a contingency plan. Calvin Ridley comes in. You bring Zay back. You got Christian Kirk, who's now the guy, but you bring when Calvin comes in and ETN out of the backfield. Who did they? Man, why do I keep forgetting who they added? Somebody interesting too. I'm going to force myself to remember that. It's not any significant competition. I'm not worried about ETN. Oh, that's right. They drafted Tank Bigsby. Jermichael Hasty, it's no competition. Snoop Connor, no competition. I do like D'Ernest Johnson as a UDFA. Shined pretty good there in Cleveland. But this Tank Bigsby, they drafted in the 3rd round, best comparable to Damian Harris. Runs a 4.5, 6 foot 210. That's pretty thick running back right there out of Auburn. Pretty decent receiver too, man. Pretty decent receiver. Actually ran a 4.45 on his pro day. Doesn't have much burst though. He's kind of like that's the opposite of ETN. ETN's got that burst and agility is through the roof with the speed, you know. Yeah, I'm not worried about ETN too much there. I think ETN's gonna all goes according to plan. I think ETN has the top 10. What was his value in this draft right here? He goes in the 3rd round. That's good value, man. I'm sorry. You go 3rd round, draft ETN after Pollard, Najee Harris. I get the hype for these guys. Saquon, I guess he's right in there. He's in that tier. Look at Josh Jacobs, middle. Brees Hall, end of 2nd. Brees Hall, Not a serious ACL tear. Should be ready.
RB2 behind
Now in
Bijan.
New England.
Yeah, I don't know. You know that they've always been big on Gesicki as a receiver, which is what he wanted to get paid as, even though he technically is a tight end. But all indications so far is that that's what they're going to use him as a receiver. They don't really got a lot of guys there, Andy. They don't really got a lot of guys there.
Derek, your contribution to my Bestball 4 donation here is much appreciated, sir. This is a very true comment here by Derek. Very astute comment of you, sir. Dak's value in cards is because he can't win a playoff game. You only need him for the regular season, which he excels at. It's very similar to a one Kirk Cousins. Dak is becoming the Kirk Cousins of Dallas.
Brady with the last pick.
Hey, my man James.
That worked for me 2 years ago, didn't it?
All right. So there's Matt Breida, Eric Ray. God, Matt Breida. Yeah. Okay.
Will
So freaking old.
Levis. Wow.
Should pick me up some Gainwell there in Philly, man. They still love that guy. You know they love him. Should pick me up some Hubbard too, man. Maybe some Jeff. Why not? Might as well go Jeff Wilson. I mean, I get they bring in Devin Akane, but I mean the ADP is fine. I think for him right there, got about almost 20 picks after ADP on that offense. I think there'll be plenty of opportunities. You know, Mike McDaniels likes all them boys. Jeff Wilson, Mostert, all from San Fran. Oh, he's saying get Breida last pick. Okay, I dig it. Pick him right after I pick Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Joking. There's Eric Gray.
Watch Edwards-Helaire actually be good after he goes to another team now.
Eric Gray. Or Breida. Let's see.
There's some good dart throws out there, Andy. There's not a lot of solid picks, but there's some good dart throws out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna add me kind of Gainwell. With as fragile as Rashad Penny and DeAndre Swift is, Kent Gainwell is he's pretty sturdy, man. He's been really sturdy. He's been really consistent for him. There's games where they will almost feature him in an odd way in the red zone, like they do with Boston Scott sometimes. So it's a better and best ball play for sure. But at this late in the game, and as good as that offense is, I think he's worth a flyer for sure.
And like Andy said earlier too, this is invaluable practice to when you start doing some bigger stakes drafts later in the year. Just getting a feel for where everyone's going to go, what round they're going to go in, and you know, was player A drafted above player B more consistently, and It goes a long way. It does go a long way.
Hey Steve, what's a rookie quarterback's best friend?
The tight end.
The tight end, baby. You see where former first-round draft pick from 2019 went to Carolina, playing behind one razor-sharp processor in Bryce Young. Big body. He'll be able to see him over those linemen that are towering above him.
He's got two really good safety blankets down there in Carolina. He's got Thielen and he's got Hayden Hurst. I mean, those are the red zone guys you want.
I like this value on Hayden Hurst falling this far down. I mean, shoot.
I wonder if they get Isaiah Likely more involved going forward. But the biggest thing you got to worry about is if they're not rolling him out at receiver, he's still kind of playing behind Andrews.
I gotta say, I am intrigued by this Kayshon Boutte draft selection here to New England Patriots. I gotta say, I'm definitely gonna buy some Kayshon Boutte rookie cards.
Somebody just yacked Hurst on you, bro.
Oh man, was that late stick? No, it wasn't late stick. He did get Paris Campbell. Okay, so he went way after Jalen Hyatt. Holy crap! I actually like that value. Late stick got there on Paris Campbell at 186. Holy crap, man! If that guy stays healthy, he's gonna pay off that ADP by a mile on the Giants. Let's go. Let's go. Late stick. Went after Hodgins and everything. Damn. Nice pick. Nice pick. Where did Chigakonkwo go as far as tight end? He was a
like a round or
big
two
winner.
Ago. It was like a big run on tight ends.
Yeah, he was a big winner through the draft. Okay, went right in that 11th round range when I auto picked on Michael Mayer. Probably should have gone Chig. But Jimmy Garoppolo, with a guy like Michael Mayer, who's going to immediately step right up into a tight end one role for the Raiders and play a lot of football, he should have a high snap share right out of the gate. He's probably going to run a lot of routes. He's probably going to pick up that system quick. And with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback, you see what I'm going. You see where I'm going. I'm reading between the lines here, reading the writing on the wall. There's gonna be a little bit of a Jimmy G, George Kittle connection, but with Michael Mayer. Let's hope you don't get him hurt.
I think I'm very curious to see how Vegas plays this year. I think that they actually improved their record. I think that Jimmy G gives them he fits that play scheme better because he's going to be familiar with the playbook more. There's the Burrito pick.
I did it, man. I ran out of time again. Second to last, Derek.
How many picks are left? 2? 1? Yeah, 1 left.
One round left. So late stick went with Deneric Prince here in the 17th round, and Derek is just loving this pick. He's loving it, man. He's loving this pick. It's a big difference, Steve. Derek, he's not big on the 4th round wide receiver, but give the man an undrafted free agent running back.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
he is at attention. Deneric Prince out of Tulsa. I'm loving the speed. He's got kind of like a Isaiah Pacheco profile here with the 4.4 40-yard dash, 95th percentile 40-yard dash, 96th percentile height adjusted speed score, 6 foot 216. Whew. Just needs to develop some vision, man. I don't know what that vision's like because his efficiency and dominator metrics aren't great. Can I avoid an auto pick here on my last pick is the question. I don't know, man. I'm glad we're starting these now, bro, because I'm feeling a little lost here late in the draft. Like, I feel like there's value out there, but I don't have a confident, decisive take. And I want to be more like, boom, that's the guy.
Yeah, I mean, there's
out there still. That's crazy value. That's the guy,
It's kind of like seeing it for the first time, you're familiar with a lot of these names, but there's a lot of new names, and there's a lot of new teams, and there's a lot of new depth charts, and you're just kind of really, really seeing it for the first time, and you're only getting 30 seconds to process, a lot of this stuff. So, hey, you know what? There's going to be some regrets, certain picks, and all that, but that's why we're doing it, Andy. That's why we're practicing. We're trying to get ahead of everything here.
I love this comment by Derek. He read somewhere. He forgot who did the research, but rookie QBs just throw the best player, not necessarily the tight end. That makes sense. But if you look at the profile for Hayden Hurst, there were games for the Bengals. There's been games for the Falcons in the past. Pretty much every team that Hayden Hurst has played on, there's been games when he was featured as the focal point, as the best receiver on the team because of his route running and separation abilities, and then, winning at the point of catch. So I think he's a great value in this best ball format. Potentially a little sleeper, pick up with the cards. I know a lot of guys have been buying them. And it's interesting because, Carolina doesn't have that Super Bowl deep playoff run upside. I think the NFC South at this point, Steve, looks like it's going to run through New Orleans first and foremost on paper. Then it's going to be a tough second competition between Atlanta and Carolina and Tampa. Honestly, I hate to put my team in last place, but I think my team is going to be battling for last place amongst Carolina and Atlanta. I think our defense is still going to be pretty decent, but there's probably still going to give up plenty of big plays, and our offense may be bad. It may be bad, bro. It's scary to think about how bad it could be with Baker Mayfield. And
can you see who got picked last? That's not showing for me.
Yeah, let's see. So sometimes it takes a minute to register. Eagle Claw. Luke Schoonmaker, tight end for Dallas. Rookie tight end for Dallas Cowboys.
Interesting.
Not a bad pick value-wise. Honestly, those last two picks, interesting deep quarterback value right there. Actually, now that I'm looking at this, what the heck are some of these people smoking? Taking Will Levis, Trey Lance, ahead of C.J. Stroud, Brock Purdy, Desmond. I get it. It could be pretty ugly for Desmond Ridder. He could be a big bust. Brock Purdy, I don't know when he's going to be on the field, get back on the field. But I think he'll be a middle-of-the-pack quarterback once he does in fantasy points from a passing standpoint. And then C.J. Stroud's actually got some rushing upside, Steve. I get it. He's a rookie quarterback stepping into a very questionable situation, but to be valued behind a backup in Levis, unless they trade Tannehill or they release him, just flat out cut him.
I don't know. I actually think Carolina, Andy, is the team to beat in that division, going back to that.
You do?
I do. I think, obviously, it'd be cliche to say it all hinges on their quarterback play or blah, 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 blah. But, I mean, it does. With above average QB play, they could have been pretty good last year. And I think that they added some offensive weapons. They're fine at running back. They're great on defense. He just has to play like above average, and they'll have a winning record. And maybe that's all it's going to take to win that division this year. You saw last year what the case was. Was the first place team even 500 last year? I don't think they were.
I was reading the comment. What was your
didn't Tampa make
Carolina
with a sub 500 record?
Well, right? Bucks pretty, yeah.
So, yeah, it's not going to take a ton to get them there. Obviously, they'll improve over the years, but I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. In fact, I'm going to maybe see what the early season division winner odds are, and I may throw a couple bucks at that.
That's interesting. Let's see. Derek wants to know who else was at quarterback for Teddy and Fetty here besides Trey Lance, Anthony Richardson, and Josh Allen. Okay, makes sense. All right, you throw a deep flyer. The thing is, though, with Teddy, what's Teddy's wide receiver situation looking like? Diggs, okay, at ADP. Cooper, okay, all right. May right
He's
at
got
ADP.
Pittman and AR combo. That's interesting.
Pittman and AR, which could be good, could be awful, and we're talking not dynasty, but just rookie season here. Damian Pierce could be good, could be average.
Josh Allen, Gabe Davis combo. I'm a bit jealous.
Josh Allen.
Oh, he's the one
he's
that's
got
Kincaid.
He's got Diggs and Davis, which I think is asking quite a bit there, man. We looked at the numbers for Gabe Davis last year, but he's a best ball guy. I get it.
You know, I was trying to scoop Kincaid up, and I had Pierce lined up too. He grabbed both of those guys.
I don't like this. Elijah Moore and Amari Cooper for Cleveland without Deshaun Watson, and you're expecting Kevin Stefanski, who is a run-first coach and established the run coach with one of the best, if not, a lot of people say the best pure runner in the NFL, and Nick Chubb, who should still have a good, healthy second-round draft capital. I don't like. So I mean, I think there's elements of his roster that are good, but elements that I'm like, I don't know. I like what Late Stick did here. This is interesting. Let's look at what Late Stick did, because he went Cooper Kupp. All right, so expecting him to get back on track with Stafford. Get back to that number one form. Mahomes. All right. Can't argue with that. He's in the elite tier. Fantasy points per game, top 3. Najee Harris. Okay. Bell cow roll. Pittsburgh Steelers. Boosting up offensive line. Weapons. Second year Kenny Pickett. Najee healthy foot. Get back to form. I think Najee, that's a good, solid. Terry McLaurin. Scary Terry at ADP all day, baby. JSN for Seattle, Steve. The rookie there. Taking him ahead of Lockett, that could be debated. That could definitely be debated.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that the guy's got talent, but, whereas he is jumping into a team with, 2 established receivers that have a huge target share each. So, I mean, no one's necessarily
this is a homer pick.
His skill level, but it could be a reach, or it's either the best pick in the entire draft, and we just don't know.
He saw his ADP. He saw him up there, and he's a big Ohio State fan, so he knows the talent. He's been watching him for the past 4 years. So I wouldn't be surprised if Late Sticks got him some JSN college uniform cards, maybe a jersey. Got Ayuk. I love this value on Ayuk. Ayuk is 1,000+ yard receiver. I would never take, honestly, I would rather have Ayuk than I already had Debo, but I'd rather have Ayuk than Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Treylon Burks. I'd rather have Ayuk than probably Mike Williams too, honestly. Although Mike Williams could be pretty decent in a best ball format, but I'd rather be taking Ayuk up in this 4th round. For me, that's what I'm willing to pay for him. So to see him go in the 6th, I freaking love that. I mean, that is value. That screams undervalued to me.
No, that's a good grab right there too. Nothing. You're kind of dunking on Keenan Allen a little bit though, but I mean, you want to talk about probably the most reliable receiver in the entire NFL. So he had one season last year where he had some nagging injuries, but he's the guy. He unlocked that offense once he came back from injury, and they made it to the playoffs.
Yeah, what the hell? Did nobody draft Sam Howell? Oh my God, that's a travesty, dude. No. He went undrafted. That's insane. talk about value.
Whoa.
Somebody could have got Sam Howell. That's crazy. Yeah, there he is. He's the next guy up.
Whoa,
His
man.
ADP so low. Why? That is so undervalued, man. I still think he's undervalued big time in cards. I think there's one team, you saw it last year on Monday night. There's any team that's got the Eagles number, it's the Commanders. Any team that the Eagles should be scared of getting beat by this year, it's going to be the Commanders. Watch them do it again. And hey, man, they're a sneaky good team with upside, with new ownership and everything. They've got, they're fighting for something this year. So, you got to imagine that Ron Rivera is going to be on the hot seat, and they're fighting for something, man. So that's crazy that Sam Howell, and he's got everything to prove. Like, this is his shot. If Sam Howell with Ron Rivera on the hot seat, he's not going to have a super long leash. I mean, this is his shot.
I think
he's got rushing upside.
That he didn't get drafted, but guys that aren't even necessarily guaranteed to start got drafted.
Yeah, are you kidding me? Take
Levis?
Trey Lance right here. Take Sam Howell. Will Levis, screw that, man. Give me Sam Howell. Jimmy Garoppolo, screw that. Give me Sam Howell. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather have Sam Howell over Brock Purdy, Desmond Ridder.
I mean,
I'd rather have him. Yeah.
Second to last pick, or I got Curtis Samuel, who, did pretty good last year considering the lack of quarterback play. We saw some of his playmaking ability as a runner and as a pass catcher. Imagine if they have like a competent quarterback, what could happen there?
Yeah. I mean, that just blows my mind that he went undrafted. Like, that changes. Yeah, I'm with you guys. I mean, that changes my draft strategy if he's going to go potentially at the very end in the last 2 rounds. I'm starting to feel like there's some value here in the quarterback market to where draft strategy this year could be changed to a zero RB, to a hero RB, robust RB, with how rare those bell cows are. Wide receivers, tight end, get them where you can. Travis Kelce's really the only guy that I feel super good at paying at ADP. Mark Andrews, yeah, he probably is safe top 3, but I think Hawkinson's safe up there. What do you think about putting? I almost want Kittle. I almost want Kittle as my tight end 3, Steve.
I'm going to be going for Hawkinson in every format this year.
Yeah.
I was kind of bummed I didn't get him, so I waited much longer to go tight end. But I think that, he was, forecasted to be like the best tight end in football, his first couple seasons. And then he had like a little regression, not necessarily his fault, but more of the, the gameplay and the scheme of things. But he's clearly a focal point of that offense. And I think that only stays, maybe even grows.
Derek's also saying Mechie went much later than Nico, which I know you like Nico Collins, but I think
he's
the way Mechie plays out of the slot there, move him around. I don't know, man. I think Mechie could be. It's not too much of a difference. Here they are.
Yeah, he's just getting back in the
165.
swing of things, though. So you got to keep that in
True.
mind. He's just getting involved with football activities just now. So
Chomping at the bits, though.
Is he going to be ready week 1? It doesn't really seem like it, but it does sound like he'll play this year.
You don't think? I think he'll be ready week 1.
Maybe. I mean, it depends on how much conditioning he's been able to do this whole time and all that. So
It's definitely, the tight end market is definitely lopsided. There's gonna be some of these rookie tight ends that break out this year, Steve.
I don't
think
I've
haven't
ever
seen
seen so many rookie tight ends drafted before. Like ever
Yeah, I
before.
mean, it was such a deep rookie tight end class. I don't think Kyle Pitts did pretty good in his rookie year. It's too bad last year was just, the Pitts, pun intended.
When I missed on somebody grabbed up DJ Moore I realized that there's not a really desirable receiver to go for on the Bears after that to stack with Fields. So I just grabbed Komet up. He's a favorite target of his, and we saw some massive multi-touchdown games out of him last year. So I think that was, a good grab on my part. And then I just went with, whatever the best receiver available was at the time. And then I did, despite the fact that I can't stand the guy, take Kyler as my second QB to go with DeAndre Hopkins. So not mad about it. Not mad about it. I think my strengths are in my running backs more than anything else. But
yeah, and Kyler could put up some big fantasy games down the stretch this season, like towards the end of the season. I dig it. I made a massive blunder, Steve. This was a panic pick. I mean, I screwed up. I panicked, and I got to get better at starring up guys preemptively and like having a round by round strategy of where I want to target guys, because this Geno Smith selection, although we were talking about him a bunch earlier, I think it's a good value here. I didn't need him. I just didn't need him, and he's not stacked. He's not correlated strongly enough with the rest of my team. My team's really not correlated or stacked too well. I mean, I think I got some good players, but I think I'm kind of capped in the sense I'm not going to get all the fantasy points from a couple teams. I'm spread out. I'm spread out pretty thin. That Geno Smith pick was a blunder, especially seeing how late Howell went.
Yeah, you could have waited and got Goff or Carr, because you ended up with Laporte, even though that was an incidental.
But all right, Scatter. Yeah, no, it's a good point. We're over the 2-hour mark. Yeah, you're right. I think if you wait and you pass up on like the elite QBs because they're not in your stacking strategy, I mean, this is like, look at this run right here from like around, where Goff went in 12, Love 11, but look at the QBs that went in this range right here. These are your late round QBs. And I got to think there's going to be some leagues where Howell goes in this range, Steve, 14 to 16. But this is now the late round QB range right here. I think that Kirk Cousins went overdrafted in 9 as well. Russell Wilson, Rodgers, I think they all went overdrafted. I mean, I did it too.
I think Cousins maybe was correct at that spot. Wilson was early. I would even say that Love was early there. I mean, Wilson basically has to prove it that he has anything left in the tank this year. Love has to prove it because he's done nothing so far. You have Goff that went at 140, who did a lot last year. So I mean that those are just some weird order of events there. But these are learning experiences. So if you're drafting,
100%,
look at stuff like that and know that somebody may make a erroneous decision taking a guy way earlier than he should, and that's going to work to your advantage.
Our first one is in the book, Steve. We did it. That was fun. I am looking forward to this league as well. I'm so glad Scatter got in. Glad Laystick and you, Steve, got to draft in this one with me. That was a lot of fun, man. Big learning experience, and definitely found some value there, man. Out of that draft, who do you feel that kind of jumped out to you as a big value that you're like, man, I need to go look at this guy's cards now and see if I can potentially find some deals on his rookie cards because he's being undervalued?
There's a few guys. They're all kind of falling in the same range for me there. Khalil Herbert is one. Khalil Herbert at 127. I think is outstanding. Zay Jones could have another great year. He was just a round after. Late stick, grab both of those guys. Next row over, Damian Harris and Alec Pierce. I mean, I know you guys know that I'm an Alec Pierce homer. He's a hometown guy, but he now has a cannon of a quarterback throwing the ball to him. And even if Minshew's in there, he has a competent quarterback in there now who's not a statue. So he should have an improved season. Damian Harris goes into a team where they didn't really have like a true grinder at running back. And this guy's a monster in the red zone. So he could see some upside. His value fell off hardcore after Stevenson took over. But he could renew his his role with Buffalo in the great state of New York. I think that's a big one.
Interesting.
Yeah, and those guys are coincidentally all like right in that little pack right in the center there. I mean, heck, even Gibson, Antonio Gibson, Gainwell, for example. We talked about the fragility of the starting running backs on the Eagles between Swift and Penny right now. Obviously, you can't predict injuries, but those guys have both had some freak injuries the past 2 years. Should that happen, Gainwell essentially is like the 1A or 1B running back on that team with Boston Scott. So that's another one that's interesting. But again, that's a situational because he's got guys. That guy's got depth ahead of him, whereas the other two I mentioned don't. Let's see if you scroll up a little bit. I can see if there's any other ones that really jump out at me. I'm still torn on the whole Pickens thing. He's super athletic. We've seen him make some incredible plays, but we just haven't seen enough. I don't know that I could have taken him, which is why I took Lockett instead, and Lightstick took Ayuk instead. The guy's got great upside, but I think that's a big reach on Pickens, personally.
Yeah, it's interesting. You try and read behind the.
You could have had Godwin instead. I got Mike Evans a whole round later.
I try and read between the lines on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they do bring in Allen Robinson, which I guess is not really depth chart target competition. I mean, Allen Robinson just has been terrible since his last year in Chicago. And he really, hardly had any targets at all last year in LA.
We talked about that during last year's best ball drafts, how I said I would never draft him again. He just didn't look like he cared when he was on the field. And that obviously translated right over to his new team where he did absolutely nothing. So I wouldn't touch anything of his. I mean, if you can get it for a hard-to-beat price and sell it on speculation, sure, but I wouldn't throw any real money in it. Dobbins is another guy I'm massive on. So
where did Jalen Warren go here? I love investing in Pittsburgh Steelers players, man. ADP of 161. He was projected. Okay, Jalen Warren, RB 50. Did I miss where he went on the board?
Oh, right there, 151. Round 13.
Okay. There you go. That's a great late round running back. Your guy, Devin Singletary, now in Houston.
That's actually a good landing spot for him because they can't just run their starting running back into the ground again this year like they did last year. They're going to have to split some work up, and they have a potentially more viable quarterback, and I say potentially because nothing's assured, but he is a good pass catcher, not the greatest runner, but he'll be working in a complementary role down there. I'm confused about the Kamara thing because he was on my lap and he is still super talented, but he's still got that pending case against him. And, there was what's his face from the Bengals was sitting there too at running back, and he's got a case pending against him. And I'm like, that's either going to be the best pick of the draft or the worst at that point.
Mm-hmm.
If the guy ends up playing and not getting any suspensions or arrests, insane value in that round. But if he does, then it's a pretty early pick to waste.
Yeah, it's almost like you should build one roster with Mixon and Kamara on it, just in case they start. You're gonna get them. I mean, look at the ADP, man. Sixth round for
Mixon. It seems
Mixon.
to me though that since he seems to think nothing's going to happen because they didn't really sign a veteran or a big veteran, I should say, and they didn't draft anybody. So
Yeah.
So maybe nothing happens. And you know what? He could end up having a solid season like he did last year. That's what makes this fun, Andy. The wonder of it all.
Yeah, it does, man. Good stuff tonight. I'm glad we got the off-season grind started. I appreciate you guys. It is it's time for me to retire, Steve.
Same, brother.
I'm feeling yeah.
But we have many more of these planned. I mean, I'd even say I'd be up for doing, one a week or hey,
I know, man.
I
got the itch.
Maybe two.
Dude, I got the itch right now. Like I'm like
I know there's nights that we've stayed on with a couple of the crew from the Discord and done several, like way more than we should have on a weeknight anyway.
Yeah, for sure. We will get back after it, man, soon. Looking forward to it. Appreciate all you guys. Look forward to talking to you real soon. A lot of fun stuff
early,
going
Andy,
on.
but it's worth throwing it out there. It's only 2 months till the National.
Mm-hmm.
2 months. I know that there's some peeps that'll be there. I'm planning to be there. Andy, I believe, planning to be there. So if you're coming from out of town, maybe it's time to start game planning.
Let's go. Steve, Laystick, Derek, Scatter. You guys are awesome. Swamp Donkey. Y'all have a great night. Talk to you soon.
Good night, everyone. Have a good night.